I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about how to know you're healing from a breakup.
Ooh, this is good information to make sure that you're making progress and keeping on track on your healing. I did want to start out by saying that Craig and I are available for coaching sessions. So if you head to the website, you can book from there for a one-on-one on your situation.
Absolutely, we'll be happy to help you. So how do you know that you're healing after a breakup?
How do you know?
I have less diarrhea.
You do?
No. Some of you are on the toilet right now.
Yeah, right?
You're like, you don't mock me. It's the worst.
It is the worst. Oh.
It's uncontrollable. My body made sounds I didn't even know were humanly possible.
I don't think I ate enough to have diarrhea thinking about it.
When I was going through my breakups, my body, I don't know what happens with my internal organs, but they make noises like an old house settling. Seriously, my organ, it's like, how is my body making these noises? I'm not even kidding you. Like, literally, it sounds like people could hear it from 10 feet away. It's just like...
This is just another day of Craig oversharing on the internet.
Listen, half of these people are struggling with this right now, and the other half just finished a couple of weeks ago.
I think more people know about your bowel movements than they do your personal life.
It's probably true. But you know what? They can all relate.
That's true. That's
true.
But
I'm seriously, I don't know even how my body made the noises that it did. It's really weird.
It is strange. And your body and your mind and your behaviors, you start to do and experience all of these really weird things when you're grieving and you're going through a breakup.
I want people to leave comments. I want people to admit that their body is no, it's not with the diarrhea. It's my organs. They're like moving around. They're like shifting.
It's like whale sounds.
I don't know what happens in my body, but when it does, are any of you people getting this? If they did, they probably had early attachment trauma like I did, right?
I don't know. Let's do a study with the comments.
If you had early attachment trauma, or if you're having those noises, did you have attachment trauma? Because when I used to go to my dad's house on the weekend, and I hated going there because of my stepmom, like, I would get massive amounts of separation anxiety, and I felt so guilty being away from my mom. It was awful. And so I think that's why it happens to me. It's like my body is like re-traumatized. So
you should record it and then play it backwards.
You know what?
And see if it's saying something.
It hasn't happened in a long time, but if it ever happens again...
It might be sending you signals or something.
I could communicate with whales if they drop me by the ocean.
Yeah, right?
They were like, Coach Craig.
He needs a hug. All right. Well, this video is off to a great start. But the point of it is to give you some insight on how you know that you are healing. Because I do get this a lot, that clients are concerned that they aren't making any progress, that things aren't going anywhere. They'll say, oh, it's been a week or 2 weeks and I'm still feeling so intensely. Sometimes it's longer. Sometimes it's, several months, sometimes 6 months.
Sometimes
more.
It's years for some people.
Yeah. And so, we thought we would make this video just to give you some insights on what it looks like to heal from a breakup and something that could be a major loss and something that could be a traumatic event.
Yeah, because when you're going through it, it's hard to really see, maybe a few months later, you forget how you were feeling a couple months prior. So you don't even realize the progress that you've made. You know what I mean? Like, you don't realize that you felt much worse 3 months ago because you're still feeling it, but it's hard to remember what it felt like at that time.
Right. It's all relative. And when you are going through a breakup and grieving, we know that time can be super distorted. So we understand that that's part of it.
Yep. So we're going to talk about some of the signs that you are healing.
The very first one, as much as we were joking earlier about diarrhea, is that you do start to notice your functioning increase. So by functioning, I mean that you're eating better, you're sleeping better, your cognitive functioning starts to improve.
And solid stools.
Solid stools. You start to
We've never mentioned that on
better.
the channel.
Solid stools?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever said that before, but it's funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
The SS's.
Yeah. Took us 1,500 videos to get there, but we're there
Solid
now.
stools.
Solid stools.
Your poop will tell you if you're healing.
It's true.
It is true. But you start eating more, you start feeling better in your body, performing better at work or at school, doing the things that you need to do to take care of yourself. You know, they say that your functioning is a huge indicator of your mental health. We know that some people, through depression, through grieving, sometimes their hygiene takes a hit.
Oh, yeah.
You don't shower as frequently.
Well, you're depressed.
Yeah. You know, you start to care for your body less. And so if you do start to notice that you are getting better at caring for yourself, that right there is a really huge sign that you're moving in the right direction. And also getting back into a routine. Grief, loss, trauma, all of these things interrupt our routine. The things that keep us going, the things that keep us healthy. And so, you know, when you notice yourself, okay, now I'm going back to my Tuesday yoga classes regularly, or I'm slowly starting to pick back up on my gym routine, or, you know, calling my friend regularly that I would on a Friday.
Watching shows that you like that you didn't watch because you were so depressed and you were just watching us for 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there, you know. That's why I joke about it, because I've lived it, you know. So, other things you might notice is with your thoughts. That's big. You know, maybe the second you wake up, you don't think about them. I made it 3 minutes today. I mean, it's true.
It is true.
I mean, you wake up, they're the first thing you're thinking about, sometimes because you've had a nightmare about it or a dream about it. At night, you can't stop thinking about it before you go to sleep. That's normal. As you start to feel a little bit better, it just decreases. You know, you're having more time in the mornings before you're thinking about them, or, you know, more time throughout the day where you're not thinking about them as much, or it's not as obsessive, not like totally consuming your thoughts. You know, the racing thoughts, it feels like you're on a carousel and you're just constantly having the same thoughts and scenarios in your mind. You start, you know, obsessively playing out these magical scenarios in your head. How about the big one where it's like you're constantly thinking, well, if I got into a car accident and they found out, then they would want to be there for me. I had somebody tell me that recently.
And that's something that you also hear from children who are, in the very least, emotionally neglected. You know, that feeling of wanting to be sick, wanting to have an injury to gain the attention from their parents.
Yeah.
You know, that's, it's serious.
Here's another one. You're not stalking their social media or their house as much. Let's be honest. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have many people over the years admit to stalking, driving past their house. Got to be careful what you do, guys, because obviously you could get into legal problems, but if you get caught by your ex, which happens all the time, it can make things a lot worse. As a matter of fact, I had a dumper stalking somebody recently.
Oh, wow.
That the dumpee caught their ex at least 3 times going past their house. That's unusual for the dumper to be driving past, or at least to get caught, right? And they got caught 3 times. So if they got caught 3 times, how many times were they doing it?
Right. Yeah. So these are all things to think about. And it might not be a dramatic, you know, one day you go cold turkey and never check anything again. But oftentimes it's tapered down slowly and slowly. You know, you noticed maybe on a certain day it was like 2 times that you checked rather than 50, you know?
50, yeah.
And so, you know, you start to notice just these little changes with time. And some of you purposefully put blocks in place or mute your ex's stories or notifications on purpose in order to give yourself that space. And I think that's admirable.
Some people have to do it. They've got to find ways in order to, otherwise they can't control themselves.
Right. And in line with being able to think differently and not obsess as much is that you're a lot more present with friends and family and the current connections and your support system that you do have.
And not just talking to them about the breakup the whole time that you're with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are things that they might start to notice too. You might start to feel yourself more connected with them and able to be present, able to laugh with them. You know, I loved working with Margaret so much. She would always make a comment if somebody smiled or laughed. You know, she'd say, I noticed that you were able to smile today, and that's how I know that you're doing a little better. And so I think that's really insightful. Your ability to play, your ability to connect with friends is huge. It's huge.
It is too. And hobbies and interests are big. When you start to see that you're actually enjoying the things that you enjoy in life, that those things that you really connect with, making music, or, you know, I liked watching like the Yankees play baseball, especially the playoff time. I knew I was depressed when I didn't care they were in the World Series, right? And you know, that's what happens. You know, you don't care, you completely lose interest. So when you feel that start to come back, where you're, you know, checking out those things that you're interested in again, or you're looking those things up on the internet, or just doing them again with friends and family, that's a good sign that you're starting to feel better.
I remember after one of my bad breakups, the very first thing that I did, I think it was maybe the same day or the next day, is I went to my dance class. You know, I knew that that was one thing that could ground me. And even if during the class I was not present at all, I started to notice that each class that I went to, I was a little bit more and more present. I was able to, you know, hold an attention span for more than like 2 minutes at a time. And I thought, okay, you know, I can do this. This is getting slowly better. Another way to see if you're healing is your ability to talk about it. And this is huge. You know, oftentimes when we do face a major trauma, something really big in our life, a major loss, our body and our mouths completely shut down. You know, we might be thinking about it, but we don't want to talk about it out of fear that it's going to be real, out of fear that it's going to stir up emotions in us that we can't handle. So the more that you're able to talk about it, the more you process it mentally, the more you're creating a narrative and integrating that information in your mind.
And that's a good point, because a lot of people don't like to talk about things. And they're like, I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it. I was the opposite. I couldn't stop talking about it.
Talk about it, please.
You remember. You knew me back then.
That's why we have a whole channel with thousands of videos for you to talk about it.
Exactly. I'm still talking about it. But, you know, I was always talking about it. And Margaret, I was talking to Margaret about it a couple times a week, every time that I could. And she would always get me in longer whenever she could, because she saw that how much better it helped me to talk about it. You know,
the way you talk about it changes too. You know, in the very beginning, it's normal for tears to come up really quickly when you're talking about it. Some people on calls, you know, right after saying hi, you know, it's nice to meet you, there's immediate waterfall. You know, and then over time, you know, your response, your emotional response changes as you start to accept more of what happened. So that's one of those signs of healings, is that you're paying more attention to your response to things. And keep in mind that it is normal to fluctuate still. You know, healing isn't linear. It's not a situation where it just gets better and better all the time and then you're finally healed. You know, there will be days where you feel like you're regressing a lot.
Yes.
There will be a random trigger and you feel this flood of emotions, and that's completely normal.
You find something of theirs, that's it, your day is ruined. Right? You have a dream about them, that's it, your day is ruined. And then you're like, I thought I was doing better. I thought I was feeling better, and now I saw this thing that I have of theirs, or these pictures of them, and I found this album with all these pictures that I thought I had deleted, and now you feel devastated again. And then you feel like, I'm not even getting anywhere.
Or
those days are going to happen.
Or you start dating again and you start experiencing feelings for someone, and you think, oh my gosh, I remember what it was like to be close. So they can come up, these feelings can come up at any moment, and that's okay. You know, healing does fluctuate, and with grief, you know, I like the idea that, this is a scary idea, but I like the idea of looking at it as there is no cure. There is no cure for grief. It's just one of those things that you become a lot stronger and able to cope with a lot better. Yeah, I remember.
It's a process.
It is a process. Dealing with anxiety in my life, I remember hearing that, you know, there is no cure for anxiety. It's not like there's a pill that you can take and it just goes away. And that thought was terrifying to me, because I thought, I'm going to have to deal with this. But, you know, now, knowing what I know now and having the tools and resources and skills that I do, that fear has completely dissipated. I know that anxiety is a thing that exists just like love does, just like grief does, and just like the grief of a breakup does. It's not something that there's a cure, but there are things for you to cope with it, for you to get stronger and be able to accept.
Absolutely. And honestly, a big part of the creative healing course is helping you process and heal. It's not these corny guides to get your ex back. It's authentic healing activities. We put a lot of thought into each and every art therapy activity, and that has reflective questions. Many of the early art therapy activities in the course are focused on breakups and healing from the breakup, because we know that's where you're still at. But as you progress through the course, it more becomes about healing with yourself and getting stronger and visualizing yourself in better positions. And so process is really what you gotta do. And the more that you work on that and you actively participate in that, the faster you're going to heal. Sometimes I see comments from people, that are stuck on a breakup for years. And it's like, but how much are you actively participating in genuinely trying to heal that? I don't know. Every situation is different.
Right.
But you got to think about those things because, yeah, it can take you a year to get over your breakup, despite what your friends and family may say. But the more that you're actively trying to talk about it, getting into therapy, learning, educating yourself on how to be a good partner, understanding attachment issues, the better off you're going to be when you finally do heal.
And there's a huge difference between healing, processing, and intellectualizing and analyzing. While it is great that you're absorbing all of this information about attachment styles, relationship skills, couples theories, and all of these things, it's also important to feel, to be able to identify what you're feeling, talk about it, and go through this experience of the grief, rather than just trying to gather all this information, understand it, and still be dealing with that pain and suffering inside.
Yeah.
So I'm an analyzer. I love to intellectualize everything, sometimes too much to a fault. So I completely get it. But being able to sit with your feelings is a completely different way of processing.
Yep. It takes time to get there. You'll get there. Everybody goes at a different pace based on the traumas they've had in their life, the neglect they've had, how they were treated in their childhood, all their romantic relationships, all those things come into play. And actively participating in helping yourself and getting into therapy and healing all is part of it. The progress may not feel like day to day. You may not feel it, every single day, I feel a little bit better. It's probably not going to work like that. But if you look at it a month each time, a month from now, 2 months from now, 5 months from now, you're going to start to see that you have healed and that you are healing and that you are making progress.
And so, I would say comment below on ways that you've had insight on your own healing, in addition to the diarrhea comments.
Yeah. All right. So hopefully this one was helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.